So, season 2, what are you most excited about?
I think I'm most excited. I mean, I'm not just saying that. I do legitimately love Breckin's character. How his character plays off of Black Saturn is really, really fun. So that's fun. And we have a Days of Future Past episode that we're doing where we get to see the future versions of the characters. And that's super fun. And we have sort of a riff on Galactus at one point, which is a lot of fun as well. But I think overall, it's doing a season of the show once we've kind of figured the characters out. I think season 1 was all about, dear God, what's funny about this character, and what's good, and then the actors come in and they bring another flavor to it. And so it's not until towards the end of the first season that you really know what your show is. And so just going into it with a little more confidence is fun.
So you both worked on Robot Chicken, and what would you say, especially for you, the biggest difference between working on a consistent story as opposed to like the shorter kind of things that you would do on that?
The biggest difference is, you don't have a ripcord you can pull. If this thing you thought was funny ends up not being as funny as you thought it was. Like a Robot Chicken sketch, I think a lot of times you start writing it and you say, oh God, this is not the 3-page epic I thought it was. This is one joke and it's very stupid. So then you turn it into a 5-second sketch, and Robot Chicken has a bunch of 5-second sketches. But this, every joke has to build on a previous joke, build on the character, say something new about the character, and then keep building and building and building and evolve over time. So it just has to be so much better thought out than a Robot Chicken sketch. And the people and the characters have to be real characters that you would want to spend time with. I think a lot of Robot Chicken's characters exist just for the joke, and so they can be massive assholes or completely irredeemable. But our characters, you have to like them, or there's no point to them.
So Breckin, I actually wanted to ask you because I was looking through your film history before we got here, and I just found your career arc to be very interesting. You started out in sort of like these very generic protagonist roles, but now you really sort of, in my opinion, found your swing in sort of these characters like the guy from Titan Maximum as Reggie, as Boba Fett from Robot Chicken. You really found it in sort of these like douchey characters. And I'm just kind of curious, was that always your sort of sense of humor, and you finally found an avenue for it, or did you just sort of meet Zeb and Seth and you're like, oh, I could do that, I could definitely be a douchebag?
I think it's similar what Zeb was saying about the characters, about I think with superheroes in general, I didn't do a bunch of comic reading and stuff, but watching superhero movies, watching cartoons and whatnot, once you think about the reality of a superhero, the first thing that comes to mind is they must be so fucking cocky. It's just like they're better than everyone else, you know what I mean? And so when we first started doing Robot Chicken, when it was Superman, it was like, this guy must be cocky. Like behind closed doors, there's no way he's just like, all they do is need me. All they do is need. They call me all the time. I have to help everybody out. And then with Boba Fett's my favorite character from the Star Wars world. Again, the guy had like a line in Empire, and he became everyone's favorite. Just from one line, just because he's got a cool outfit. So again, it just lends itself to like, that's a cocky son of a bitch. It's just like, y'all called me, y'all need me back, huh? Like, they didn't know he was going to be a Jedi, but everyone wanted him to be, stuff like that. But, so I just think, the best thing about animation, as an actor, the best thing about animation is probably won't play Boba Fett live action anytime soon. Probably am not going to play Superman. Definitely not going to play Lohan or Jesus. So the fact that I get, as an actor, you get to do that with animation is so much fun. And because we're all friends and stuff, we all want to make each other laugh. But Seth always jokes about like, I wish people could see the fun stuff. I wish you could get to do the stuff you do on our show in live action.
Yeah.
And I do too. Like there are times where I'm like, I wish I could bring that to my shows, to my movies and stuff like that. And you just can't. This person ever said my movies. In my life.
I don't know how to say this without sounding like a jerk, but I was. What could go wrong? But because I had never met Breckin before we met in the Robot Chicken writers room, and I was so shocked by that side of like he was so fucking funny in that room, like so quick-witted. Because I think he does. I mean, you do play like more like the straight leading man type. Yeah, and I was like, oh my god, this man is hilarious. So yeah, it would be fun to see you just play a douchebag.
Yeah. And we've talked about, like, Seth and I have a thing we're writing together right now, and it's that. It's like the idea of, like, all right, now that we're all very comfortable with me being a douchebag, how do we present it to the masses? But that's the fun of animation, is you get to do all that different type of stuff.
Can you talk about the Star Wars detours, where that stands at all? Speaking of Boba Fett.
I wish we know where the fuck it is.
Yeah, it stands in a vault somewhere.
Yeah, it stands under lock and key of Mickey. Like, so Disney has it.
Did you like produce a full run?
Yeah, I think there are plenty of
50 episodes.
They're
all done.
We wrote a boatload, and I think they finished. I think over 30 of them.
Yeah, is done and voiced.
Yeah.
Hopefully, look, nothing Star Wars has ever not come out, even the holiday special. So hopefully at some point, I get why initially it didn't come out. The reason it got shelved to us was they were coming out with these new movies. George sold it to Disney. I can call him George. George sold it to Disney. And the first thing they want to have come out that's the new Star Wars world is probably not going to be the funny animated thing. But wait, let the movies do their thing. And then hopefully now that it's reintroduced to everyone and all the young kids love it as much as they do, now we can be like, all right, now we can poke a little fun at ourselves and hopefully release detours. It still has been the dream job for every single writer and voice actor on that show to work with George literally to work like this with George Lucas and create characters at the ranch and goofing off with him and stuff like that. It's still the highlight. It's the Make-A-Wish world right there.
How do you bring up the holiday special? I remember that night where we were gonna watch it at Skywalker Ranch. Yeah. We found it, and the fire department was like, they knew that Breckin was going to be there and Seth was going to be there, so we were like, yeah, let's go watch a movie with these guys. That'll be awesome. So these big dudes get up there, throw their feet up. 10 minutes into this holiday special, like, we gotta go.
Yeah, there's a fire.
Have fun, nerds. It was really sad.
And it was also, by the way, you forget how long the special is. It's clips on YouTube.
It's terrible.
You watch the long version of it at Skywalker, sitting in a screening room. At some point, everyone did a... just wondering how much longer we got to watch.
It sure was funny for 5 minutes.
Yeah, but now we got, the Wookiee family are just jerking off.
It's
weird.
Is Papa Wookiee going to masturbate?
Yeah.
What is happening?
Yeah.
Oh, he is masturbating.
He is masturbating. Got it.
Great.
It's bananas.
Does the Disney deal affect doing any Robot Chicken Star Wars specials?
I don't think so.
No, I think Kathleen Kennedy's been on board. We haven't done another one. We haven't talked about it yet.
Yeah, it just feels like after 3, I think everyone just felt like we had done it. And I know we all wrote on them, and it was like, we were coming up with some weird shit to do sketches about, like, maybe let them make 3 more movies.
Yeah, we need some new info.
We were down in there scraping.
Yeah, we need to refill the bucket. Before we can go through it. Yeah.
So Breckin, I wanted to ask because in your previous answer you were saying that you didn't read comics growing up and you were just sort of thinking about Superman and Boba Fett as just sort of concepts. And I'm just kind of curious if you felt that the fact that you weren't sort of inundated as much as Seth was sort of a positive asset that you could bring a new perspective, and how has that changed as you've sort of gotten more involved with it, read more?
I still haven't.
I think it, but and I won't. But to answer his question, I think that was super valuable. I think it's always super valuable to have someone in the room that's the outsider perspective. Like, I don't think any of us would have come up with that take on Superman. That whole, I'm Superman. But, I mean, Breckin saw that and was instantly just like, oh, I don't need anybody. I'm a massive jerk with my head up my ass. Yeah. And all of us were growing up and revering Superman never would have come up with that.
Right, he's sacred.
Yeah, he's sacred, and we don't. And for Breckin to come in and instantly see that, and we have another writer who barely knew Star Wars and called the Millennium Falcon a flying saucer as he was writing it, but it, just had a skewed take and ended up writing some of the funniest sketches. So I think it's very, very valuable.
And we have the good thing about the Robot Chicken, and now it's getting less so because everyone's learning about it. But like I used to say, in our room, there's guys who could tell you what Boba Fett ship's called. Then there are people who could tell you what it runs on, and then there's people who can tell you who built it. And I think it's good to have all this perspective, so you don't just get nothing but inside baseball, super inside comic book world where I'm like, I don't even know. Like I just asked him what day, present, future.
Days of future past.
Right, like I had to get that explained to me about what that was.
And then when he asks, you have to explain it in one sentence, or his eyes will. I'm out. And then you're the asshole sitting there explaining. Well, Kitty Pryde's brain was transferred into.
Literally, just the fact that you just said Kitty Pryde. That's enough. You keep going.
I'm out. Yeah.
Done.
Zeb, it seems Jewbot was easily converted into Jewbot. Might he be easily converted? Could he ever be like Scientology bot or Catholic bot?
I think we want to play with that a lot more in season 2 because I think that he is just putting out feelers and trying to find an identity because he wants to be a human so badly or find some sort of identity besides just a robot. So we have, I'll give you a little spoiler, we have an emo bot showing up where he has a little bit of a crisis, and that ended up being really fun. And I really liked in season 1 when he turned off his Wi-Fi and became the hick bot. That was really fun. So we want to do that as often as possible.
Well, so how did you approach making a Christmas episode?
Well, it was funny because we weren't planning on doing a Christmas episode, and then suddenly they were like, hey, we should do a Christmas episode. And if we want to do a Christmas episode, we need the script yesterday. And so they were like, so we can't do one. But I was like, oh, I really, really want to do one. So I had to write it super fast, and I just had an idea about Santa Claus. There's somebody wishing for Santa Claus with a Mr. Mxyzptlk type character, Impossible Man character. And if you were blinked into existence like that, maybe you would have a hard time adjusting. So it's about Santa Claus with all these weird Santa powers that don't make sense. Like being able to bend space and time to deliver a billion presents every night. And then his brain kind of going off and kind of turning to goo and going crazy.